off of the 2003 show, right? Hello. We were doing a special reading tonight. My sister and I were digging through her old stuff. I found a diary that I wrote when I was 13, and she found a fanfic that she wrote when... How old were you?
2003.
You're 3 years older than me, so you would have been 16 when you wrote it.
15 or 16.
Yeah. Okay. It's a Ninja Turtles fanfic called It's... All My Fault... Her screen name is Celestia Usako. So,
Nothing more, but no one has to know what it is now.
Yeah. That's why we're doing it just audio, so you won't even see her. It'll just be me, and she left the room. I got permission, obviously, to read this. This is based off of the 2003 Ninja Turtles series, which, frankly, that was my favorite series up until they ruined it with Turtles in Time or something like that. So, let's get started by reading the author's note and summary. Legal stuff. I don't own the Ninja Turtles, which I did though, little happy face. But I am a huge fan and finally came up with an idea for a fic. Now bear with me because I'm new and this is my first fanfic. Please review. Summary. Something horrible happens to Leonardo. How will Raphael handle it? Rated PG-13 for some swearing. Fanfiction terms, it would probably be rated T, I would think. I'm going to try to do voice acting, so bear with me. Leo! Screamed Raphael as he ran over to the cliff's edge and peered into it. Leo! Come on! Answer me, damn it! Leo! I'm sorry, my voice acting's awful. His voice echoed down into the darkness without a reply. He was praying for. He cursed the night sky for its lack of light to help him see and screamed out his brother's name again in vain, only to be answered by silence. No, this can't be. Why won't he? He can't be dead. He just can't. A sick feeling swept over him as he slammed his fist hard on the ground in anguish. He didn't want to believe the horrible truth. Didn't want to admit that what had just happened only moments ago before his very eyes was real. But as hard as he tried, he couldn't stop his tears. His sorrow was his unwanted truth. His brother Leonardo was dead, and he was the one to blame. His rotten attitude had gotten them into this mess in the first place. And his rough, careless actions had ended it. Okay, the next bit's all in italicized, so I'm assuming this is supposed to be a flashback, I guess. So, and she also added in little notes. Do you want me to read the little notes you put in too?
Yeah, that might make more sense.
Okay, well, one of them scribbled out, so... Raphael had been in a bitter mood all day, as well as bored out of his mind, and wanted very badly to beat something up. He decided, against Leonardo's orders and then threats, to take off and look for trouble. His brother followed him out the door in hot pursuit and grabbed his arm roughly. Didn't you hear what I just said? Leonardo asked, fully aware that his brother did hear him and didn't choose to listen. If you're going to go out only looking for trouble, then do as I say and stay home. Your pig-headedness is going to get you killed if you think that way. Raphael tugged his arm out of his brother's hand. And what makes you think I'd listen to you? He snapped as he started walking off again. I'm too pig-headed, remember? So I'm going to go and take my pig-headed self out for a walk and go beat up a bunch of pig-headed punks for the fun of it. Leave me alone, okay? You know, I do kind of remember them getting little spats like this in the show. But that might just be me. I noticed that the show, the 2003 show, the relationship between the two of them strongly reminded me of the first movie, how they were. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think that was on purpose. Leonardo took off after his angry sibling and shoved him into a wall. Listen up, Raph. I'm getting real tired of this bullshit from you. Go back home. Now. Raphael slowly stared his brother in the eyes, then, before Leonardo could react, punched him hard in the gut, making the blue bandana turtle double over in pain and fall on his knees. I'd like to see you make me, oh fearless leader. Raphael snarled as he ran off into the woods. It originally said deep into the sewers and up to the surface. I guess Into the Woods would make more sense if the story takes place in the woods, leaving the other turtle gasping on the ground. Son of a bitch! Leonardo stammered as he got on his feet and angrily chased after his brother. If he keeps this up, he'll definitely wind up dead. Little did either of them know of the horrible events that were to follow, for if they did, Raphael may have considered listening to his brother and stayed home. Okay, it's back in normal text, so I'm going to assume that this is present time. Shame and agony engulfed Raphael and his thoughts as he looked over the edge again, shuddering at the air that swept up from it. Up out of the black mouth that swallowed his brother whole. Death's breath. God, Leo, what have I done? He whispered, and he let more hot tears scorch his face. You murdered him, that's what, you traitor! Said a voice from behind him, making him jump. Raphael turned to see that two of the foot were still alive and poised to fight. You! He snarled with fury as he ran forward with his sais in hand, and red flooding his eyes. Okay, it's back in italicized, so back to the flashback. Raphael wandered around the wilderness, hoping some stupid punks or even a gang, okay, and she hasn't say anything, would pop up somewhere and make his day. He had been pissed off enough before he left home, but now he was fuming after the incident with Leo. He bugs me so much. He muttered angrily to himself, unaware that he was being followed. Acting all important and stuck up, giving commands like he's a military hotshot, getting on my case for the stupidest. Before he could finish his rant speech, should just say rant, he was surprised by a hard kick in the back. He landed on his face hard, seething as he turned on his attacker. You were talking about me, weren't you? Okay, who else would he be? Asked Leonardo, and he held out his hand to help his brother up. Who in return for the kick punched the arm away. Buzz off! Nope. You're coming home with me. Now come on. Leonardo started to walk off when he noticed that Raphael wasn't following him. He turned around to see his brother going off in the other direction. Damn it, Raph! If I have to beat you up in order to drag you home, then I will. Ah, shove it, Leo! Growled Raphael as he looked back at his brother. I thought I heard something over there, and if it's a potential fight waiting to happen, then I'm going for it. And without waiting for the angry answer he knew was coming, he ran on through the bushes. Okay then. Sorry about that. Let's continue. Why, you... That's it. I'm beating him up, Leonardo said huffily as he followed through the bushes. He was surprised to find a fight on the other side. Surrounding Raphael were 5 or 6 foot members, all eager for a fight just as much as the red bandana turtle. See? What did I tell ya? Raphael shouted as he traded blows with a couple of the ninjas, striking them both down and leaping over a couple more, pulling out his sais with a bloodless grin on his face. He could finally blow off all that steam he had carried around with him all day and night. So, are you going to help me with them or not? Leonardo sighed. He pondered on whether or not to leave his hot-headed sibling with the ninjas alone to learn a lesson on looking for fights, but decided against it. Raphael was tough, but he could also get seriously hurt if he got cocky and underestimated his enemy. Fine, but when we get home, you're going to have a long talk with Splinter. Splinter then, fight now! Yelled Raphael as Leonardo joined him in the battle. The two fought hard against their skilled enemy. That is, until Raphael decided to take on more than he could handle. He left his brothers back and took on 3 of the foot alone, having a harder time with it than he originally thought. Raph! Leonardo called out a bit angrily as he struggled with a couple of ninjas at the foot of the cliff. We need to work as a team. Oh yeah? Came the reply. Well then why don't you handle these 2? With that said, Raphael shoved the 2 foot members that cornered him over to Leonardo, who was off guard, and sent him over the cliff with 4 foot members. It all seemed to play out in slow motion to Raphael as he watched in horror his brother falling over the edge. Okay, it's one of those long dramatic no's. If I had a clip from Star Wars, I would play that, so I'll just say no. Throwing the 2 remaining foot into the trees, he made his way to the cliff's edge. Okay, back in present day. That's a lie! He snarled as he fought the two remaining foot members with fury. They had underestimated him in his moment of agony and wound up angering him more. He beat them down in seconds, brutally killing one and throwing the other into the ground. With quick speed, he put his size to the last foot's throat. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you. The foot soldier glared at the turtle fiercely. A scowl played across his face. I don't see why not, he answered coolly. After all, you killed one of your own. Why should I expect mercy from you scum? Okay, it's quite obvious that he didn't kill his brother. It was an accident. Don't you dare bring up what happened to my brother. If you think that'll keep you alive, then you're sorely mistaken. Raphael yelled as he slashed the foot soldier's face with his size, causing blood to spatter through the air. Leonardo, falling off the cliff, flashed over and over in his mind. Don't blame this on us, the foot soldier shouted. We may have been fighting him, but you're the one that sent him over. You murdered your own kid. As much as Raphael hated to admit it, he knew it was true. He had killed his brother. He had dishonored himself and his family with his careless actions and had gotten Leonardo killed. So he couldn't go home now, not after what he had done. So, what will you do, Green One? Asked the foot soldier with a hint of amusement in his voice. Will you choose the way of the coward, or will you choose the way of honor and take your own life? Raphael looked back to the cliff. This man was right. He did have a choice to make, and he decided then and there what it would be. He had unintentionally killed his brother, and in order to restore honor to his family and pay Leonardo the respect he had deserved, he would have to commit suicide. He not only made this decision to restore honor to his family, but he also made this decision out of his misery. He no longer felt that he deserved to live after what he had done. He deserved death. I'll have to let them know, he whispered, and he went through the dead foot soldier's things, finally finding what he was looking for. You're writing a note? Are you taking the coward's way out, Green One? The foot ninja began to laugh, but he was silenced when a sigh flew through the air and pinned his arm to a tree. He hollered out in pain and cursed aloud as Raphael approached him. So, you killed me then? No, I've killed enough people. Some that didn't deserve it. He looked the man in the eyes. That's the only reason why I'm allowing you to live. He took the letter he had just written and stuck it on the tree above the trapped ninja's head. He looked over at the cliff again and sighed. I really am sorry, Leo. He then brought his attention back to the soldier. Do you have any rope on you? Okay, going back to the flashback. Is it just a replaying of what happened again? Okay. Raph! Leo called out a bit angrily as he struggled with a couple of ninjas at the foot of the cliff. We need to work as a team. Oh, yeah? Came the reply. Well, then why don't you handle these two? With that said, Raphael shoved the 2 foot members that had cornered him over to Leonardo, who was caught off guard, and sent him over the cliff with 4 foot members. Leonardo felt the ground disappear beneath him as he fell into the darkness. A scared scream erupted from his throat and mingled with those of the foot soldiers that were falling with him. Suddenly he landed hard on a ledge, his life spared while the foot members continued to fall to their deaths, but the impact made his vision blur and his mind pass out. The last thing he heard as he drifted off was the horrified scream from his brother. His own name echoed on and on. He awoke with a jerk. Okay, this is present day. A wave of slight pain overwhelmed him as he began to sit up. His head was throbbing, as well as his temper. Raph, you idiot, he hollered, making his head hurt even more. What the hell were you trying to do, kill me? He waited for Raphael's pussy remark and was surprised when none came. Raph? Maybe he's still fighting. With that said, Leonardo began to carefully climb up. Amanda, you spelled climb wrong. Carefully climbed up the cliff's wall. He was dumbfounded when he reached the top to see that no one was there except for a couple of dead foot members. Must have gone off after one. Why else would he leave me here? Baka, said a voice by a tree. The turtle then realized that one of the foot ninja were still alive. He thinks you're dead. Leonardo ran over to the fallen man, pinned to the tree, and shook him hard. What did you do with him? What did you do to my brother? He demanded angrily, glaring darkly at the ninja's eyes. I didn't do nothing to your little green friend. The man replied as he winced in pain. Read that letter that he so thoughtfully wrote. Leonardo looked up to see Raphael's other side punched into a piece of paper and ripped it off. He read it over quickly. A bad feeling came over him. What does this mean? He asked slowly as he looked down at the ninja. It means exactly what this says, Baka. Said the foot soldier. Why do you have the word foot capitalized? The foot! Why do you have it capitalized? Is it like that in the comic, or?
No, I don't know. I think I thought, if I emphasize it, they won't confuse it with people's feet. I have no idea.
No. Said the foot soldier calmly. I thought for sure he'd take the coward's way out and run away from home. Imagine my surprise when he asked me for the rope. He's gonna kill himself? Leonardo shouted fearfully. Is that what he's going to do? That is what you Americans call it? Oh yes. What the fat lady's saying. Okay, flashback again. You're writing a note? Are you taking the coward's way out, green one? The foot ninja began to laugh but was silenced when a sigh flew over the air and pinned his arm to a tree. He hollered out in pain, blah, blah, blah. I already read this, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. I already killed you, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to let you live, blah, 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 blah. I really am sorry, Lulu, blah, 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 blah. Do you have any rope on you? Okay, this part, okay. The ninja smirked and nodded his head at his own knapsack across the clearing. Raphael grunted and walked over to it and dug around until he found what he wanted. It was just long enough and sturdy, too. This will do. This will do. He began to walk away, but the ninja's voice stopped him. You do not choose to use a weapon to end your life with? He asked, genuinely curious. No, Raphael answered. Don't want to give you the pleasure of seeing me die. Besides, I don't want to be found. You should be dead by the time my brother gets here and find that note, so I'm not worried about you spilling the beans. Well, if you wanted him dead, you should have just killed him afterwards. Just saying.
I know, it was dumb. It was a bad Fanfic night.
It's not, well, it's not that bad. It's just a little
yes, it is.
It's just a bit
reading.
Okay. He looked back the cliff once again and then left to go greet his death. He had walked for a while before he came across a lake, decided that this was as good a place as any to do, and he began to look for a heavy rock. When he found the right one, he picked it up and climbed up a small hill. At its peak was a small cliff-like structure hanging directly over the deep lake. Raphael pulled out the rope he had taken from the foot and tied it tightly around the rock. He then did the same for his leg. He was ready. All he had to do was jump and let the lake do the rest. He stood there for a few moments and prayed for his brother, apologizing, silently to Leonardo and his family for what he had done and what he was about to do. I screwed up real bad. I'm going to take responsibility for it this time. He took a nervous breath and looked down at the dark water looming beneath him. I love you all, guys. Master Splinter. But I have to pay the price for what I did tonight. I really am sorry and wish I could take it all back. He then jumped, letting the cold and dark water take him, letting the heavy rock drag him down. Fear found him as he started to struggle, but he fought it off. He wasn't going to fight death and run away. Slowly, as his lungs began to burn, he closed his eyes and whispered his last thought in his mind. Goodbye. It was then that he lost consciousness and the water invaded his airways and flooded his lungs. In moments he was no longer breathing. In seconds his heart stopped. Raphael floated lifelessly at the bottom of the lake as his brother ran through the woods as fast as he can to stop him from taking his life. Leonardo looked up to see Raphael's other side punched into a piece of paper. We already read this! I can't believe I'm reading it! Okay.
I told you it was bad.
I mean, yeah. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah.
How many times can I repeat myself writing this fanfic?
I know. Okay. Said the blah blah blah. He was finding this little drama to be quite amusing. One brother goes off to commit suicide over the assumed death of his own, one he felt responsible for, and then it turns out that the brother didn't die after all. It's too bad you didn't wake up a bit sooner, the man provoked the turtle as he reread the note. You could have saved him. Leonardo glared at him and crumbled the paper in his hand. Not if I get to him first. he declared, ignoring the giggles from the foot soldier.
Look at that, Arthur.
Is that so? Why wouldn't it be? Asked the teenager. His voice was tinted with worry. Well, he left the rope around 3 minutes ago. Pissed me off. I was hoping he'd do it himself in here. But he asked for the rope and said he didn't want to be found. I wondered where he went to hang himself then. The foot soldier sat there and thought as Leonardo's eyes widened in horror, turning around and running as fast as he could. He made his way through the forest, hoping he had headed in the right direction. He now knew what Raphael planned to do and was going to do everything in his power to stop it. When he reached the clearing, he noticed a lake up ahead and bolted towards it. Please let me get there in time. Please let me stop him. He reached the shore and noticed that a large rock had been removed and drag marks led up to a hill, a cliff-like structure, and hanging off of it over the suspended lake. Raph! Leonardo screamed as he ran into the cold water and dove in, swimming over to where his brother had jumped off. It was hard to see in the darkness, and he needed to get some air. He surfaced and positioned himself under the cliff. Diving once more and swimming down deep. He fumbled about in the water due to the fact that he couldn't really see and felt around for anything. Anything but the damn water that he was sure had robbed Raphael of his life by now. Where is he? He asked himself wildly as he felt around more. Raph. He was about to go up for air when he felt his hand brush up against something. Panicking, he felt around more and felt the smooth, hard surface of his brother's shell. Raph, thank God. He felt his way down further until he found the rope tied tightly around Raphael's ankle. He quickly untied it and swam as fast as he could to the surface. Sorry, I dropped something. Oh, God damn it. Oh, no! He gasped in a mouthful of air when he got pulled his brother to the shore. Please, please, don't be dead, Raph. He whispered as he dragged him onto the shoreline and laid him on his side to let the water flow out. He then gently laid him on his back. Raph, Leonardo whispered as he checked for signs of breathing and a pulse. Neither one were found. No, Raph! He began to perform CPR, fully aware that this was his last chance to save his brother if he didn't act quickly. Come on, bro, he whispered as he did 15 more chest compressions. Don't do this to me. You can't leave me like this. He gave Raphael's lifeless body 2 rescue breaths and checked for signs again. Nothing. He felt tears stream down his face as he performed 15 more chest compressions and 2 more rescue breaths. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. He kept at it, refusing to give up. Guilt shagged, singing, guilt in his, I think that says shagged. So his guilt had sex with him.
It makes sense of my own stupid. What?
It originally said
the handwriting. Right,
yeah, well, it looks like it says.
He kept at it, refusing to give up. Guilt. What? Snagging?
Oh,
snagged?
Maybe snagged.
Snagged.
Okay,
that's
snagged.
What I wrote.
Okay.
Snagged.
Guilt snagged. Okay, that makes better sense than shagging or singing. His troubled heart as he continued to do CPR. If only he had woken up sooner. If only he had been paying attention, then none of this would have happened. Okay, parentheses, must be Raph's mind, although in reality he would have been long dead by now. Raphael felt colder than he had ever felt in his entire life. This must be what it feels like to be dead. He thought as he walked blindly through the darkness. Raph! He turned around at the sound of his name. Nothing was there except for the black surroundings. Leo? Is he here too? Why can't I see him? Because, my son, you aren't on the same plane, said a voice from the depths of darkness. Raphael squinted but saw nothing. Who is there? Who said that? Please, please don't be dead, Raph. Leo? Damn it! Where is he? Why can I hear him but not see him? Raph! No, Raph! Would you stop yelling my fucking name and tell me where the hell you are? Raphael demanded angrily. He didn't understand what was going on. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned around, surprised by who he saw. Why? What are you doing here, Master Splinter? Come on, bro. Raphael spun around at his brother's voice. And why the hell can't I see Leo? You are not on the same plane, my son, the old sensei said as he pointed to the ground beneath him. See for yourself. Don't do this to me. You can't leave me like this. Raphael followed his master's instructions and looked down, shocked to see Leonardo frantically performing what looked to be CPR. What looked to him to be CPR on ... his buddy! He looked back to Master Splinter. What's going on? Leo's alive? No, wait. That can't be. I saw him go flying off that cliff. There's no way he could have survived that. Master Splinter shook his head. No, my son. He did in fact survive that fall. He was fortunate enough to have landed on a ledge, instead of plummeting to his death as you assumed. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Raphael looked down again at Leonardo and his dead body. He's alive. That's all I wanted. He turned away from his father. He wanted to run and escape the sight of his brother's misery. Raphael! The old rat called out with a worried tone. A worried tone was in his voice. Where are you going? To the place I'm supposed to be, which is probably hell, I guess. He said as he looked again at his sensei. Are you dead too? No, I am in a state of meditation. You must go back. Raphael sighed. No, I can't. Look, I'm glad that Leo's alive, but that doesn't excuse what I did. He still could have died. He looked down at the scene below him sadly. I know it's upsetting, but I still need to pay for that. He looked down at his hands and again at his dead body on earth. Raphael, come on, please, Raph. Leonardo was now sobbing as he sat back and stared. Leonardo was now sobbing as he sat back and stared miserably at his brother's lifeless form. I love you, Raph. He got up and went over to the water and kicked it about angrily, crying as he did so. Trembling as he fell to his knees and slammed both fists over and over into the shallow water. Why? 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 Raphael looked down and wondered what was happening. The tears began to pour out of his eyes again. Would you look at that? He sobbed, barely able to find his voice. He really does care. I never really doubted that he ever did, but there were times when I just wondered. He looked at Master Splinter sadly. But I can't go back. Not after what I did. This is a price I need to pay. I don't think I can go back, even if I wanted to. Yes, you can, said his father. Tears glistened in his eyes too as he approached his confused son. This is payment enough. He pointed down again below them. You can go back, but it is your choice. Raphael stood there for a moment, then looked at the creature that had raised him from a child. They hugged each other tightly. Then with one last look over his shoulder, Raphael left. Leonardo stared at the water miserably. His tears still flowed freely as he tried to clear his thoughts. How was he going to tell them? He didn't want to believe that Raphael was dead, but he was, and there was nothing he could do about it. His head was pounding. He tried CPR over and over again to the point of exhaustion, and now he couldn't bear to look behind him at the sight of his dead brother. Couldn't bear the sight of his closed eyes and lifeless body. He was gone forever. It's all my fault too, Raphael. I just wish you had realized that before you... His thoughts were interrupted when he heard a noise from behind him. What? Raphael's hand twitched slightly. A gurgling noise made its way through his throat until water mingled with coughs erupted from his mouth. Raph? Leonardo whispered as he watched his brother in awe. Oh man, Raph! He ran forward and helped his brother sit up and cough up the water he had filled his lungs. Keep coughing, Raph. Get it all out of your system, he encouraged as his brother continued to cough violently. Tears of joy now fell down his face as he watched. When it was done, Raphael fell onto his back in exhaustion, gasping heavily to try and catch his breath again. That was not fun. He stammered as he opened his eyes for the first time in what seemed like ages. He looked up at his emotional brother and managed a smile. Remind me not to die again anytime soon, okay? Leonardo smiled warmly as he embraced his brother as tightly as possible, thrilled to see him alive and breathing. You really scared me there, Raph. I really thought that I had lost you. He cried and Raph hugged him back. It's okay, Leo. I'm back, and I'm really glad to see that you're not dead either. He pulled back and looked his brother in the eyes. I'm sorry about what had happened tonight. About what I had said. About what I had done. I really thought that I had killed you. He turned away shamefully. I needed to pay for that, but I found my way back when I discovered the truth. Again he looked Leonardo in the face. I am really sorry, Leo. I don't know how many times I can say that before I feel good about this whole thing again. But I do want you to know that. And I also want you to know that even when I'm being a pig-headed asshole, I love you. Leonardo Leonardo's smile widened as he helped his brother up. I know that, Raph, and I love you too, even when you're being a jerk. He put his arm gently around Raphael's back and helped him walk home. So, what will we tell the family about what happened tonight? Raphael grunted as he walked and looked back at the lake, remembering his experience in death. We don't need to tell them. I think Sensei already has. Leonardo gave him a questionable look, but continued on walking. He would never forget what happened this night, and he knew that Raphael wouldn't either. They may bicker and argue in the future when they were having bad days, but a new understanding was between them. They would work it out and always be there for each other no matter what. Finn. Well, that's it. Did you like it? I think this came out pretty good, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Review, please. I'll try to do another fic soon. Well, that was interesting. I think my only real complaint about it was the fact that it was kind of predictable, and a lot of the events that happened in this story kept on getting repeated over and over again, which got a little annoying after a while. But aside from that, it's not that bad. I've read a lot worse. I'm telling my sister that because she keeps on saying it's the worst thing ever written. But I've read a lot worse. I mean, I could kind of see this happening in the show somewhat, but maybe not as,
Over dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the foot soldier was just...
I like your foot impression.
Ooh, well, I'm a bad guy. It's your fault. Oh, you're a bad guy. I just like how he was...
Your brother, you being mine.
Well, I just love how the foot soldier, Leo's like, what does this mean? And the foot soldier's probably thinking to himself, really? He hasn't put two and two together yet? Gee, your brother...
My brother just admits to me that he's going to kill himself in this letter. What does it mean?
Ask me what it means. Ask me what it means.
What do you mean you're going to jump into a lake and drown yourself? What does that mean?
Yeah, so, I mean, it was over dramatic and stuff, but it's not the worst thing. And you were like, what, 15, 16 when you wrote it? Trust me, I've read a lot worse from people who are older than that, so, yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening, and have a nice night.